All right, we have a major breaking crisis happening right now, and nobody seems to be paying attention or even talking about this, not sure why. Breaking. U.S. House to vote on bill that would punish U.S. citizens with up to $1 million in fines or up to 20 years in prison for boycotting Israel. This is happening in America. So it's kind of a lot to cover. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove myself. You guys can pause and you guys can read all of this. Okay? Or you guys can go over to drop site. The House is set to vote Monday on H.R. 867, the IGO Anti-Boycott Act, which would punish Americans with fines of up to $1 million or prison terms of up to 20 years for participating in boycotts of Israel or Israeli settlements that are promoted by international government organizations, IGOs, such as the UN or EU. The bill was sponsored by pro-Israel lawmaker Representative Mike Lawler. Some people have posted this, that he has received roughly $640,000 from AIPAC. But I think the most important thing is, okay, what does this actually mean? Some people are wrongfully saying that if you just criticize Israel, like online, you can go to prison for 20 years. No, thankfully, we're not there yet. And hopefully we never get there. This is America, by the way. But these are just some examples of HR 867 and how you could be penalized in American. So again, you might want to screenshot or just look up drop site news. If you're a small business owner that declines to stock settlement-made wine, a church follows a faith-based boycott policy. If a student group urges divestment from settlement-linked companies, an individual cancels a catering order over settlement goods, a journalist publishes a do not buy guide. If you write or publish a guide listing companies involved in the occupation and encourages consumers to avoid them, if I write that list and I encourage people like, hey, maybe you want to boycott Israel, I can go to prison for 20 years as an American journalist. Now, thankfully, we do have some American legislators like Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene and Thomas Massie, of course, one of the GOATs, saying that they're going to be voting no. It is my job to defend American rights to buy or boycott whomever they choose. Yeah, that's right. We should be allowed to do that without the government harshly fining them or imprisoning them. $1 million or 20 years. Mind-blowing. And if you're thinking to yourself, oh, this just wouldn't really happen, it's not going to be, it's already happening. Greg Abbott out of Texas says anti-Israel policies are anti-Texas policies. They are suing a city. They're going to withhold funds from a city who's done just that. They are reallocating $4 million from local funds away from pro-Israel, basically NGOs. It's already happening. So I kind of just grabbed a snippet from what Greg Abbott said in the letter, saying why he's coming after the city that decided to turn away funds. Specifically, the resolution identifies, again, this is Greg Abbott's own, this is the governor of Texas. It's coming after the city of San Marcos because the residents don't want to send $4 million. Okay, look, resolution identifies $4.4 million that came from San Marcos resident taxes that was sent to Israel. It then calls for the reallocation of such local funds away from Israel's military and towards essential domestic priorities. Essentially, they had negotiated some kind of deal where $4 million were going to Israel for whatever the reason was. That is, there's so much dispute over this story already because it's so insane. But local cities say, you know what? Maybe instead of sending this money to foreign countries, maybe we should just use that money here locally. Yeah, you think? But again, this is already happening. So under this proposed bill, if it passes, by the way, Greg Abbott can not only just say we're going to withdraw funds from the city of San Marcos, Greg Abbott can actually say, okay, we're going to start anyone that voted to reallocate these funds to local instead of giving it to Israel, we're going to go ahead and fine these city council members or the city officials, and we're going to imprison them because it is now illegal to do so. Insane. I don't know why every single person should be talking about this. The vote goes tomorrow. It's going to be introduced. Insane that this is happening.
All right, shalom, 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 shalom. I want to start off by giving all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, B'Hashem, Yahushai, B'Hashem, Rachakodash, double honors to my elders, my apostles, a great millstone, which are the men that rule well and taught us his truth. Of course, peace, blessings, and salutations to the elect. And as you just saw in the post-production, all right, the video, more and more persecution, man. That's probably what I'm going to title this lesson. Salaki, let me turn on this AC. It's hot as hell right now, and it's hot as hell where I'm at right now. But yeah, man, more persecution as you saw in the video, man, and it just lets you know truly who's, truly that Trump is nothing more than another puppet doing the bidding for the elites, man. Okay, it ain't no thing, man. It's ain't no different, man, than any other president. He ain't come here for you nationalists. He didn't come here for you constitutionalists, for you so-called Republicans, so-called constitutionalists, you so-called patriots. He ain't come into office for none of that, man. He came into office for to do the agenda of the elites. He has a master. He's a puppet too. Okay? No different from Kamala Harris. It wouldn't have mattered who came into office, all right? At the end of the day, prophecy is going to stand, all right? But it just goes to show you, man, that who's in control. It goes to show you that the devil is in rulership, because the average person doesn't have $1 million to pay. And what is that? What is $1 million going to do? Why is that the judgment in America for boycotting against the state of Israel? And I say the state of Israel because the true biblical Israelites are so-called blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans. All right, and those of you that don't have the typical look thereof, but you believe in the 100% truth of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. All right, but truthfully speaking, let's be real. That really is that persecution of that judgment is really for the men of the Lord, because we're the ones bringing out the most information on them. Boycotting Israel is one thing, but to expose them to be the Edomites is a whole another one. That's why these other camps, man, are trimming their ways to seek love, man. Y'all a bunch of cowards, man. All right? You get on the TV and you retract certain statements and you don't bring out the 100% truth of the gospel like how we do. All right? But, hey, it's more persecution upon the men of the Lord that's coming with decrees like that. And I'm going to bring out some scriptures, okay? I'm going to start off Habakkuk 2:15. Woe unto him that giveth his neighbor drink, that putteth that bottle to him and makest him drunken also, that thou mayest look on their nakedness. Which that's what Edom has done to us, man. He's put the bottle up to our people's mouths. The CIA with their hip-hop, their gangster rap. All right, their black culture, those psyops on our people, the projects, all these different things that they did to us, man, that they put the bottle towards us. And Jake is wicked, but at the end of the day, Esau is the one that put the bottle to the mouth of our people, man, and made them drunk. Okay? The accuser of our brethren, the accuser of thy brethren, Salakia. All right? He's the one that puts us in a predicament, a situation of sin, and then points us out to the Lord. That's what they do. All right, here's the point in verse 16. Thou art filled with shame for glory. Drink thou also, and let thy foreskin be uncovered. The cup of the Lord's right hand shall be turned unto thee, and shameful spewing shall be on thy glory. And that's how they're losing, when they have to implement certain laws where if you speak against them, you do jail time, you pay fines. All right? Because why, if the things that these people were saying was not true, if the things that we weren't saying were true, or if the things that we were saying are not true, why do you care? I know me, growing up, man, hey, if someone's lying on your name, for the most part, it's like, that's not true. Your peoples know that ain't true. Why do you care? People just making shit up. Okay? So, these people are hey, the Lord is exposing them, and they're mad about it. All right? Whether through the prophets or the tongue of their own people. I'm going to read verse 16 again. Thou art filled also with shame for glory. Right? Their glory now is shame. No one looks up to Israel the way that they used to. People really used to look at them as God's chosen people. Go to any comment section with them. With the ish person either being a straight demon or just not doing anything. There's this one dude, he's an Amalekite posting real estate advice, and there's nothing positive in the comments. Everybody was like, oh, was that house promised to you 3,000 years ago? You know what I'm saying? People cracking jokes about it and shit. And he's just posting content for real estate. You know what I'm saying? He's not a comedy page or nothing. He just posts real estate advice content and money content, right? Content on advice. And no one's really watching it for that. Everybody's just in the comment section frying him for being an Amalekite. You know what I'm saying? They're being exposed. That's why they have to pass these laws and persecute people that talk about them. You see? Amos 5:10, they hate him that rebuketh in the gate, and they abhor him that speaketh uprightly. Now, these things are really targeted to the men of the Lord, because at the end of the day, it's one thing to expose them for being demons and all that, child molesters and blood drinkers and animal rapists and children touchers, weirdos. But it's another, what we have done is expose them for being Esau, Edom, the tribe of Amalek, according to the Bible. That's the ultimate exposure. That's the, oh shit, that tops it all. All right, yeah, it's cool. People expose them for stealing and fraud and owning all this wickedness that they do, owning so much in the porn industry and owning media. But it's another when you say, hey, but he's Esau, Edom in the Bible. So this persecution really is for us, man. Or that's what they're going to try. All right? But what? They hate him that rebuketh in the gate, and they abhor him that speaketh uprightly. That's the prophets. That's us. We speak uprightly. And we're the ones rebuking in the gate. We're out every week letting y'all know who these people are, man. And what they're doing is going to be a recompense. Okay? I'm going to go straight to Isaiah 29:20. For the terrible one is brought to naught. That's Esau, Edom, right? And the scorner is consumed. And all that watch for iniquity are cut off. That make a man an offender for a word, and lay a snare for him that reproveth in the gate. Right? Make a man an offender for a word. Let's go into Isaiah 29:21 and see what that word for offender is. Slakia. Well, that word for offender, sin, miss, incur of guilt, purify from uncleanness. Yeah. So basically make a man like a sinner, or make somebody guilty for what they're saying. So you're being guilty. You're being called you're basically guilty for saying the things that you're saying, of a crime. Okay? That's what they're doing, man. That make a man an offender for a word, and lay a snare for him that reproveth in the gate. And we're the ones that reprove in the gate. And they always lay snares for us, man. One way or another. I know the DC church, man, they make it hard for us to well, I don't want to say they make it hard for us, but it's hard to go out and teach the word in Washington, D.C., man. Parking is one thing, but in D.C., laws will change overnight, and the parking spot that you thought was cool, now they're giving you tickets for being there. You know what I'm saying? That's low level, though. That's really not what this is really talking about. But they do lay snares for him that reproveth in the gate, in the sense that, eventually, all right, they're going to make it illegal for us to be out there teaching. Okay? But what? That's one of the aspects of it. All right? Eventually, it's going to just be completely illegal to just be out teaching. All right? Freedom of speech is going to be no more thing. All right? They're going to make congregating illegal and things like that. It says, and turn aside the just for a thing of naught. All right, now the last two, Isaiah 10:1. Woe to him, unto him that decree unrighteous decrees. Now that's an unrighteous decree. For them to be talking about, if you're boycotting Israel, because that's a very broad term to just say boycotting. All right, because what we're doing can be considered boycotting. All right. So for them to try to pass that, and they probably are going to pass it, if not worse things than that. All right. For them to try to pass that. All right. That's an unrighteous decree. That's them decreeing something unrighteous as a law. It says, in that right grievousness which they have prescribed. Right. And that's what they're doing, man. Hey, let me tell you something. The average person that's speaking against the state of Israel doesn't have $1 million. So what does that mean? That means you're going to get 20 years in prison if they're able to catch you. Okay? It's happened in the past to people, man, where they had to pay certain fines. I forgot what country it was, but if you speak against Israel, you get a certain amount of jail time. That's wickedness, man. Why? Because you're the damn devil and people are exposing you for being wicked. That's how you know they're in control, and that's how you know they're the devil, man. They're the ultimate deceivers, man. You know, the devil doesn't have a pitchfork and he doesn't wear no red suit, man. He looks like an Amalekite, man, an Edomite. All right, not the spiritual demon Satan, but the devil that the Bible speaks of, the deceiver. It's a white man in a suit, man. All right, it's really the nation of Esau, the so-called white man. We say so-called. Hey, there's Edomites that look like niggas. All right, and there's niggas that look like Edomites. All right. But what the point is that law they're trying to pass is an unrighteous decree. Now that video was a little older, a few weeks older, like 2-3 weeks. Probably like two weeks old now. Who knows, man? They might have already passed it. I gotta look into it and follow up. You know, Lord's will, I do a follow up. It says to turn aside the needy from judgment and to take away the right from the poor of my people, that widows may be their prey and that they may rob the fatherless. Right? That's what Esau Edom does, man. All right, Esau Edom is so wicked, man. All right, he's gonna pass laws to everything in Esau society is made to be difficult. You know, like and one example, you know, if you have a misfortune, if you have let's say you get into a car accident, right, and your car's totaled, you know how much money it's gonna take, especially if your insurance doesn't cover certain things. You know, it costs. Well, for one, the police are gonna impound it if the police were called. It costs out the ass to get it out their lot. They have certain rules to where you can't set foot on the lot with a truck. Let's say you hired somebody that is not on their authorized list. They make it hard for them to even be able to go get the car. All right, they can't set foot on the lot. They have to be on the outside of the gate. You have to somehow get your car to the. You know what I'm saying? These are the types of rules and regulations that Esau does, man. So that's the type of demon that we're dealing with. He makes things difficult for everybody, you know, with his little law, with his laws and unrighteous decrees, you know. And I'm giving that example because these are low-level laws that he has set in place, certain regulations that he has set in place to where these bigger ones are even worse. You know how hard, there's probably no loophole to get out of a charge like that. You know what I'm saying? For let's say, you know, you get caught up for boycotting Israel. You think your lawyer is going to find a loophole for that shit? No, more than likely not. You know? Because if he does, they're going to get you with something else. You see? That's who we're dealing with, man. They're all about stripping you down and hunting you for a prey. You know what I'm saying? Especially in Esau's legal system. Yeah, there's ways to circumvent certain things, but for the most part, man, if your lawyer finds a loophole for you, Esau going to look for another one in his own law to get you. You know, so that's just more and more persecution. Hey, but that's all I wanted to bring out. I don't want to ramble on and say the same thing. You know what I'm saying? I hope this lesson was edifying, man. I want to give all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rachakadash. Double honors to my elders and apostles, the great millstone, which are the men that rule well, the men that taught us his truth. Peace, blessings, and salutations till he liked as always. Shalom.